Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Come on!
Live from the Govardhan Eco Village in beautiful Maharashtra, India. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Stuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to India. We're here again. This is our third year in a row, and it's our is our third year in a row. How can this be our fourth? Oh, it's our fourth year in a row.
Well, we skipped a year.
Oh, we skipped a year. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So
But, I mean, we're.
it's our fourth year.
Oh, you're
Wait
talking
a
about.
second. It's our fourth year anniversary today.
Are you talking about the podcast? Or are you talking about the Eco Village?
Oh, yesterday was our fourth year.
Well, but we didn't do the show.
Okay, today's our fourth year anniversary of the show. Give me something. Woo! You can't hear that because of these microphones, but we have a group of live people here from all around the globe. And congratulations, Kastuba, 4 years of this.
Raghunath. Congratulations.
Doing Mara, congratulations. She's
Starting
on the
year number
sidelines
5.
knitting. After long travel, we've made it here. We've settled in. We've slept a little. I just took a 20-minute nap. Feel good.
Good for you.
Yeah. I'm on a special diet. One day. Eat once a day.
But it's a 2-hour window.
It's a 2-hour window to eat once a day. You can graze for 2 hours as much as you want. And then it's over. But let's face it, I can't eat that. It's like after I eat, I can't eat anymore. So it's really just one meal a day.
All right.
It's good.
How
I
long
think
have you been
Prabhupada
doing
said
it?
you can digest stone if you eat once a day.
Really?
Well, I think so, but I think he said that.
If you're a young man, I think.
If you're a young man.
I think young man might have had something to do with it. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Anyway,
You're still a young man.
thank you. Thank you. And got some other great news. I was having a tough day. That last day I was leaving, the 31st. I was going through, I can't remember what I was going through. Or Mara, she just fields my emotions. Sometimes I'm incredibly high for no good reason. And sometimes I'm like,
You don't say. And I never noticed that.
And so as we're driving away, I said, stop at the mailbox. We opened the mailbox,
Oh,
and guess
wow.
what I got in the
You were actually driving away.
driving away? I got the very first copy of my book. If you're listening, if you're not watching this on YouTube or Zoom, this is it was really very exciting. Mara opened it first because I was driving.
Oh, I get it. There's the punk and there's the monk on the back.
Yeah, get it? Punk and monk. See how that works? So I don't know. It's like a nice, substantial. I tell you, Mandala, they make nice quality books.
Always.
know.
Always.
It's got a whole bunch of pictures in the middle. Really happy it
Good,
came out.
good. Tell me something more about the book. Give us a little something.
It's just basically my story. Like I said
Detail.
before, Mandala was like, we want to hear your story. I was like, my story's not that interesting. It's like I never did drugs. I was never in prison. No felonies, hadn't murdered anybody. Usually it's kind of like a recovery story. Like, oh, this guy was a mess and then he did this and now he's better. And there's like a beautiful arc. I was just sort of like, I was straight edge, and then I became a Hare Krishna. And they're like, and they said, you know what? It's a good story. Write it down.
All right.
And I wrote it down, and it's actually good because when I did the Audible the audio book. It was actually very fun to read.
Give us one in a nutshell, because we don't have a nugget today. Give us one lesson that came out of it. Life lesson.
I think
Are there any life lessons?
yeah, there are. You can start to choose your destiny by choosing who you associate with.
Oh, how did that come out in the book?
How'd that come out?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to choose spirit over my material life,
Right.
even at the cost of like spirit was sort of sexy and cool and fun, and
Spirit.
oh no,
What?
so material life was
That's how why you got into spirituality.
no, spirituality was sexy and cool. No, it was like when I got into when you got into it, being a Hare Krishna was like the most uncool. If I said, well, I'm becoming a Tibetan Buddhist, that would have been
Maybe.
cool, sexy, and fun.
Maybe.
It might not have been fun, but it was definitely cooler. And but you and me became Hare Krishnas when it was like the most uncool thing to do. There was not even a Krishna core community.
Yeah. No, it was now. I'd imagine for most people, I don't know. They don't even know what to make of it. But then it was like incredibly uncool.
It was incredibly uncool. But I prayed for truth.
Right.
My whole life, I felt, not my whole life, but I think I was always on a spiritual path. And I got to the point of ardently praying for truth. And this is the package it came in. What can I do?
You had to accept it.
I had to accept the package. I can't say, well, can you give me a different flavor of truth, please, God? I really didn't want it to come into, okay, go be a Hare Krishna package. But it just everything just so clicks so nicely in this Vedic paradigm of reality.
And then once you're in it, you're like, this is pretty cool.
Oh, it's very cool. And also we've met so many cool, well, if you don't know people, just the whole thing just seems foreign and weird. And you might meet one person like, okay, I click with this person. Everybody else is nuts. But then all of a sudden, the more you meet these people, there's so many interesting people in the Bhakti community, and it gets cooler and cooler. And I will say now, like 30 years later, the whole world's changing. The whole world's changing, and people are interested in a spiritual life, and it's exciting because as the world's getting crazier, there's also getting a strong sobriety of people on a spiritual journey. People are very interested in a spiritual journey. What we're doing is much less culty than it was. It's just more accepting and open-minded, and there's real magic to be had.
All right,
that's how I feel.
I'm looking forward to reading the book.
And speaking of magic, we got.
But you're going to give that one away, aren't you?
This one I'm going to give to Radha Swami.
All right, I'll have to wait till April.
Yeah. Yep. I'll put that up there. You're not getting one. You'll get one when it comes out.
You only got one?
I only got one. I know. I sort of feel like they should have sent me two. So once I give it,
did you put
once
it? You should offer it to Krishna first.
I did.
Okay.
I did. I offered I put it on my altar. I learned that from Radha Swami because he gave me the book. He went to his altar and he gave me the first journey home.
Look at that.
So that's what I did as soon as I got it. I'm going to put it right on the altar.
Okay. You were saying?
I was going to say we're going to celebrate our wonderful plethora of listeners by bringing on a listener or so.
Or so.
Let's start with this young listener.
Oh, Nandini Radha.
Nandini Radha, come on down.
Come on, you can get right between the two of us.
Yes, right between us.
Nandini Radha.
Are you
welcome?
Are you really young or just really small?
Also really young.
You gotta get close.
You got to talk right into the microphone, or else it won't pick up.
How old are you, Nandini?
I'm 15.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel so blessed to be here. I love the podcast. This is like the real, I think, social work of the world. I think that's like a big thing right now is like social work and like contributing to society. But I think that this is what people really need right now. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
This has been paid for
by Raghunath.
Thank you.
So where are you from?
I'm from Houston, Texas.
You born and raised there?
No, I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, so I guess your father moved there first, then your uncle followed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, because your uncle, Rajabhumi, is one of our Sage Group leaders.
Yeah.
And a great guy all around. I think, did we have him on the show one time? I know I may have spoken about him on the show.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think so.
back when COVID was kind of like taken off in New York, and he was a doctor and run the hospitals there. But he's one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I agree.
He's such a wonderful person, and so you got a whole family thing going on down
Mhm.
there. Houston has a very beautiful temple there.
Yes. Yes.
And who are the deities there?
Nandini Madhava.
Brad and Neil Madhava are the biggest deities, I think. Next to like a
Yeah.
Mayapur, right?
Mhm. I think so.
Do you do any seva there?
Go to temple every Sunday. There's a great community there.
All right. What's your favorite thing to do at the temple?
Favorite thing to do at the temple? Kirtan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you lead? Play a little mridanga? Kartals?
I play kartal sometimes,
Okay.
occasionally. Yeah.
Dance?
Yes, definitely.
Spin around? Are you a spinner?
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're here. How long are you here for?
Just until tomorrow afternoon.
Oh,
I know.
we're
This
just
is
getting to know you.
Yeah, I know, but this is perfect. Like I've wanted to be on a live, like or be here for so long. So this is
Okay. Well, glad you're
Well,
here.
anyway, I got a question.
Yeah, you're here for the whole show. You're not going anywhere.
All right, because I have teenagers. I'm trying to think. Like, do you go to a
Hey,
public?
just a warning. He may be trying to marry you.
I'm going to marry you off. Is that okay? All right, give her your microphone now.
Oh, I don't get to say anything?
Yeah. So, do you go to a public school or a private school?
I go to a private school,
What kind of private school?
like all girls Catholic school.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Those parents, they're
Yeah, they're putting it.
no boys around.
No, keep them away. How do you deal with the pressures of just material life and teenage life? You know, I don't know, girls. Yes, I do. I mean, girls can be girls, and they can get catty and gang up on you and think you're a weirdo. And what is it like for you? In even whether it's Mara went to private school. She was tough. She was one of the tough bullies. You know. No, but what's it like for you? Are the girls accepting, or is it nice? Is everybody boy crazy?
I think it's a little bit crazy. I think it changes though as people get older. I'm in 10th grade now, so I'm a sophomore. So you definitely see that people have changed. And I definitely think it's hard, right? Academic pressures, social pressures. But I think one really grounding factor for me personally is definitely like my spiritual life.
Who are you? Who says that at age 15 except like Madhvacharya? That's like Madhvacharya, something Madhvacharya would say, or Ramanujacharya. But and what? Yeah, okay.
So your friends at school, did they know what you're into? They know about the Hare Krishna thing or the yoga thing or the Hindu thing or however they see it?
I think that maybe they have a little bit of like understanding of like maybe Hindu culture, Indian culture, but not specifically like bhakti or anything related to that. But because it's a Catholic school, you know, like we have mass and things like that. And so I will say the school is really like accepting of like other religions and other cultures. And so I think it's easier for me to be able to connect a lot of like, you know, things that they do in Catholicism to bhakti. And that's something that I also learned from Radhanath Swami and that he's taught me a lot to do is to make those connections because whenever there is, you know, spirituality or religion accessible to you anywhere is to take advantage of that and to draw those connections in any way that you can. And so, yeah.
I think you need your own podcast here. This is really good stuff.
Can I surprise you with something?
You got one. You started
I
one.
got one.
Whoa. Okay, we're giving it a plug right
You're about to get your numbers, a big bump in your numbers here. What's your podcast called?
My podcast is called the For Us Podcast.
The For
Us. Like for us.
The For Us podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. And
Yeah.
what is it about?
So it focuses a lot more, I think, on just like self-development and just like I guess the personal journey. I don't talk so much about bhakti, but I guess I try to sneak some lessons in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Interview Raghunath about his new book once it comes out.
I would love to.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for the encouragement and
Thank
support.
you. Thank you. This is everything. I love this podcast
my
so much. Thank you.
And your parents listen to it too?
Wisdom of the Sages?
Yeah.
Yes. Always. A lot.
Unbelievable. I'm always shocked. I was like, when people come up to me, like, I listen to your podcast every day. I was like, you do? Are you okay? Do you have anything to do? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Unbelievable, huh?
It's like a breath of fresh air on the.
Well, you know what? Me and Mara on our Japa walk today, I interrupted our Japa walk and we were talking about like kids and second generation devotees. It's like, it's not just devotees, but kids who grow, not just Indians, but Indians. A lot of Indians and a lot of these second generations, third generations devotees, they just grow up with a bloodline of purity, a bloodline of
Yeah.
dharma, a bloodline of discipline, a bloodline of like a true north. And it's amazing. I can just see this world radically shifting when all these kids take power and they just become the new acharyas. And it's gonna change the face of this world. Don't be worried about this world falling apart and the wars here and the wars there and the corruption here and the dollars getting misspent there. Don't worry, it will crumble. But there's going to be acharyas to step in to lead the way, and they're all taking birth right now, and it's quite exciting.
A little prophecy there from Raghunath.
I see the future. You're one of them.
Your
For us podcast.
your family's Gujarati? Okay.
Those
come on,
Gujaratis are going
Gujarat.
to take over the world.
No, well, we're reading the South. Remember, we're reading from was it from the Puranas? It was talking about like in South India. It's actually mentioned quite a few rivers. On the banks of these rivers, people would be born that would become very powerful, influential, spiritual.
Where were we reading that?
Remember that show we did where we read from the different Upanishads and Puranas about
yeah.
Kali Yuga and the future and the Golden Age and all of that. So yeah, what's the big river in Gujarat?
What's the big river in Houston?
The
Rio
Rio
Grande.
something. Yeah.
Anyway,
No, not the Rio
on
Grande.
the banks of the Rio Grande, there will be a young Gujarati girl. I think it's
And
somewhere in the
she will have her own
Upanishads.
podcast, and from that podcast, the world will be changed.
And it's we
For us.
understand how I mean, we're here at this beautiful, breathtaking Govardhan Eco Village, and I'm thinking, what have I done with my life? Like, why wasn't I more focused? That I couldn't have, you know what I mean?
Created your own.
Created my, done something more substantial. I've wasted. There's been a lot of leaks, like cracks in my system. That if it was a little bit more sealed up, I could have done more. That feeling is running through me. I mean, appreciating the. So I'm thinking all these people who get born into this world like that, like Radha Swami created this thing from his desire, and this is just one of the things he created. There's so many people working here, employed here, monks running the place. Then he's got so many other projects. Imagine these young, very empowered people start to come of age. I'm serious. And then they all have their own visions, and they're just leading by example from birth.
Maybe they grew up a little bit before they
We'll grow up.
up.
8-year-old masters, the child gurus.
I could see it happening.
It's all very.
And I also
exciting.
think people that have already been practicing are passing away and then being born back in.
I think that's a real thing. The devotees, these early devotees who just died, they're great souls, but maybe they didn't reach perfection.
Yeah.
And they just die and take birth. Boom.
And maybe they get the option. Do you want to go back and keep? I want
Want to go back to
contribute.
Godhead, or you want to go back and take birth in Houston, Texas?
Houston.
Houston, give me Houston. Okay, we got a Gujarati family for you.
Great
Good luck
food.
there, Doc.
They got great food. What's your favorite Indian cuisine? Gujarati. Okay.
That's
We're
where
gonna
you're
write that. All right.
I know. It's quite amazing.
It's a bright future, I think.
It's a bright.
It's got to get
People. Don't
darkest.
get dark. It's gonna get dark.
Darkest before the dawn is the saying. It's darkest before the dawn.
Yes.
I don't know if that's entirely true, but
I don't know.
the statement applies in this case.
I really think it's going to be one of these 11th hour things where things are going to fall apart, and then Lord Chaitanya is going to clear space right in the middle for the new set of acharyas to walk right in and take the stage. And you're going to have to pick. Do you want hell or do you want to walk with the acharyas? And you're going to have it's going to be an easy choice. Some people though are addicted to hell. They actually like hell. These are the people who are dying. They have like one of those trigonometries. What's it called? Don't laugh. So they have these things in their throat because they can't breathe.
Trigonometry,
trigonometries. They have trigonometries stuck in their throat because they can't breathe. Be, because they,
Yeah,
because they've been smoking their entire life, so they have to they have this
I
machine that
see.
breathes for them.
you push the
Yet
button.
they still smoke. You know, it's like they
Well, they figure once you're already there, you may as well.
you may as well enjoy the cigarette.
Yeah. But there's no enjoyment in the cigarette. There's nothing there.
You know,
Isn't it?
I just think people are addicted to poor choices.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I think our generation, this first generation of devotees who grew up loving sin, you know what I mean? It's like it's hard to cut sin out of your life because once you've tasted that forbidden fruit, be it whatever it is,
You
everyone's
begin
got
to
their
sound
own
like you went to
flavor of
Catholic
fruit.
school. Go ahead.
I did, of sorts. I went to
A very Catholic
no, I went to church and I went to Sunday school.
Catechism.
Sunday school.
Catechism.
Sunday school. Is that what catechism is?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is.
And but anyway, once you taste that forbidden fruit, it stays with the mind, and the mind likes it, and then the mind wants to indulge in other fruits, and then we're in the process of bhakti. You're like, okay, I got to lose the taste for that, you know, and that comes from, and you can. That's the good thing. You can. There's promise. There's hope for the dented cans of the world.
Well, why don't we get into the Bhagavatam and we got Mara announcements and all.
Mara, what's up, Miss Mara? Tell us something. Oh, Yarny Weaver. That's her name.
Oh, Weaver of Yarn.
Yarny Weaver.
All right, we have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today. The men meet at noon, the women meet at 2 p.m. And this Sunday, Anu Lawrence is offering his postural yoga class for the Patreon members at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
Thank you, Yarny. Who's here? We got Doyal Gurunga here, Asika here,
Lots of people.
Bhagavatananda's here.
Beer Budger's here. His whole family.
Draghi
Chai,
Hari's here.
Sham.
This is fun. Tara's here. Is Tara gonna come on, walk on today? Get to the Bhagavats.
We'll see. We'll get him for
All right,
another
we're gonna
day.
get Tara.
We'll
We're
get him
gonna
another
get him
day.
on here. One of these days. We got a lot of great souls here. We're gonna bring on the show.
Ready?
Okay. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madhirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is ever a means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nicham bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Midatam Yena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. That's the problem with you. You weren't born in the darkness of ignorance. You were born already in enlightenment. You can't even say that. You can say, I was born pretty well off.
I was born enlightened.
I was born, or at least close. I was born with great teachers, great parents, great family. That's the dented care prayer.
Dented
I was
care.
born in the dark, dented can prayer. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. All right, it's okay. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, Text 22. What's going on, Kastuba? Where are we? It's been a while.
It
New
feels
Year's Eve parties,
Yeah.
flights.
We have just witnessed the cursing of Maharaj Chitraketu, and we got a chance to see how he responded to it.
And he responded pretty well.
Yeah, he was cursed by Parvati, and it was very heavy curse, and it felt like it was externally, if you're just to judge it straight out, it seemed like it was too much, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't see it that way, and he listed off like a whole bunch of verses that we read in the show 2 shows ago.
Mhm.
And there he said that he was seeing, he wasn't blaming her. He was saying that the world is working in such a way, right, that due to past deeds that we've done, we receive reactions for them, And those reactions are ultimately meant to help us grow or help us develop. So he said, why should I hold you responsible for what's coming my way? Right. It was maybe we could read a few of those verses just to refresh
Sure.
ourselves, because I
Remember
thought
where they started?
no, but we can just dip back a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Oh, here we go. We can just start at 17. Yeah, my dear mother. This is how he responds, right? She was being very sarcastic with him, and then she leveled a very serious kind of curse at him that he would take birth in the family of the Asuras. So he said, "My dear mother, with my own folded hands together, I accept that curse upon me. I do not mind the curse." Now that statement there. They were surprised that he said that. Lord Shiva and Parvati were like, "Whoa, you don't mind it at all?" I don't mind the curse, for happiness and distress are given by the demigods as a result of one's past deeds. Deluded by ignorance, the living entity wanders in the forest of this material world, enjoying happiness and distress resulting from his past deeds everywhere and at all times. Therefore, my dear mother, neither you or I am to be blamed for this incident. In this material world, neither the living entity himself nor others are the cause of material happiness and distress. Because of the gross ignorance, the living entity thinks that he and others are the cause. This material world resembles the waves of a constantly flowing river. Therefore, and this is interesting, what is a curse and what is a favor? You know, it's just like if you look at waves like in a river or in an ocean, they're like this 1 second and then they're gone. So like, is this good? Is the river good or bad? You know, it's like,
Sure.
is the changes in these world, are they good or are they bad? They're just it's just what it's designed to do, is to go up and down. And so he's recognized that. He says, therefore, what is a curse and what is a favor? He with the right vision, he can see a curse as a favor, or see a favor as a curse. Like you say sometimes, like, oh, if it's good, it's bad. If it's bad, it's good.
It's good. It's good. Good.
That's
Tara
bad.
says it. I got that
Yeah.
from Tara.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're going through a hard time? Oh, that's good.
That's good. Oh, it's not so you haven't like great time? That's bad.
It's going good? No, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he says, what is actual happiness and what is actually distress? Because the waves flow constantly, none of them has an eternal effect. They're shifting. I've recognized this. He was in a great situation. What she did threatened to kind of completely turn it upside down. I'm expecting that to happen. That's how this world works. Okay, he says the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, unaffected by the conditions of the material world. He creates all the conditioned souls by his own personal potency. Because of being contaminated by the material energy, the living entity is put into ignorance and thus into different conditions of bondage. Sometimes by knowledge, the living entity is given liberation. In Sattvagun and Rajagun, he's subject to happiness and distress.
You know, the first thing that comes to mind is once there's radical responsibility for, I got what I got, now what? Meaning I'm no longer blaming anybody else, not blaming the circumstance. I'm not blaming the person. I'm not blaming, time factor, my body. I'm not blaming anything.
God.
I'm not blaming God. I'm saying, you know what? I've got this. Obviously, I got it. It must have come from somewhere, and I must be the result of it. Once you stop blaming, you become at peace. When you always find, how did this happen to me? This is so unfair. How dare they? Don't they understand? Why me? Who do they think they are? We just live in this world of victimhood, and we suffer tremendously. And again, sometimes we carry that narrative forever, and we die bitter and angry, and we never come to peace. And even in Western therapy, good therapy, they will take you they'll bring you to a point where they'll say, well, did you have some responsibility in this? No, I have done nothing to. Well, come on.
Really? Sure.
But the yogis, the yoga philosophy and Sanatana Dharma, we take it more seriously, because in Western thought, you can say, well, okay, you have a broken marriage and your husband was an alcoholic and he was A, B, C, and D, but you chose that husband. They'll go, what was your responsibility? So you can actually rationalize it, but sometimes you can't get to a place where you can rationalize it. You can say, well, there's been some pain and abuse, etc. when I was young and I had nothing to do with that. And they'll say, well, something happened in a previous life. Something happened. By the way, that's a tough pill to swallow, but something happened in a previous life and I'm getting some karma in this life. And you still have to come to a point of acceptance and forgiveness to move on in this world, or else you'll stay bitter forever. So that's a true thing, I think, even in Western therapy. There's got to be acceptance. This happened. Forgiveness. You've got to relinquish pain in your heart, or you'll never heal from it. But the bigger picture is there's something that I had. There's a hand I had, and it's meant for my growth. Somehow it's meant for my growth. I mean, I don't even get it or understand it. It may have pushed me so deep and so dark, but in that deepness and darkness, we oftentimes reach for God in it, or we get darker and darker and darker. So in this thought of, I can't get any darker than this. I could be suicidal. Sometimes we get so traumatized we want to kill ourselves. People reach for God, and it becomes their saving grace, that pain.
And I think in his case, in Chitraketu's case, because he was already fixed in that way, it didn't matter what happens now, right? In other words, he can Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter talks about the mind of an Ashtanga yogi, like of a deep contemplative meditator, right? The Ashtanga yogi is physiologically, they're doing all kind of things, in terms of asana, in terms of pranayama, to ultimately gain control of the mind. And then they learn how to take the mind into deeper and deeper states of concentration. So deep and so focused and so still that they begin to feel their own eternal nature underneath in a way that you don't notice unless you get the mind like still like that. Now, bhakti is a different practice, but the idea is you still experience that true nature of the self. So Chitraketu's done that in other ways. He's done that through his reflection and his prayer. He's had darshan of Vishnu, and he's got his faith is like incredibly deep and strong at this point. So he's feeling this kind of connection all the time. And he's realizing, I get it. God, your energy is constantly shifting. I can't depend on it at all. It looks bright one day and it looks dark the next day. I understand that that's how that works. But I'm eternal. I'm connected to you eternally. So really whatever's going on in this show of this world, even when it looks like it's getting really dark for me, because I'm hanging on to you, I know I'm secure. And so even though he got this very externally very problematic, disastrous kind of condemnation here, he's entirely unfazed by it. And even Lord Shiva and Parvati herself, we'll read today, are going to be like, whoa, did you see that? This is what Bhakti Yoga does for you. They were very impressed with it. So why don't we read on? And
I have to make an add-on to my statement. When we hear about this idea of radical responsibility and we're getting our karma, we never say that to anybody else. If somebody else is going through some horrible pain, it's not healthy for us to go, you're just getting your karma, dude, deal with it. We don't do that. If we're going through something, we say it's our karma. If somebody else is going through something, we say, oh my God, how can I help you? What can I do for you? How can I serve you? Or else we come off callous and brash and non-empathetic. So for ourselves, we can accept responsibility. And for other people, we're very compassionate about their pain.
Although one form of compassion is to speak these truths, but it would have to be at a time and a circumstance where they're receptive to it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just check. No, but that's important what you share. Okay. So I think we're on text 23. Is that right? 22. You ready? Got your
Go through
glasses?
2 pairs of glasses this show. It's a different pair. Text 23. 22. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally disposed towards all living entities. Therefore, no one is very dear to him, and no one is a great enemy for him.
I think we need to be clear about that too. It's not that no one's dear. He's like the dear friend of everyone. But I think what's being expressed is he's not playing favorites.
He's not playing favorites.
Yeah. Everyone is dear to him in this sense.
Yeah. Or at least I think maybe a better, because there are ways to become dear to Krishna.
Yeah.
But everyone has the opportunity to become dear to him.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially dear.
no one is his friend and no one is his relative. Being unattached to the material world, he has no affection for so-called happiness or hatred for so-called distress. The two terms happiness and distress are relative. Since the Lord is always happy, for him, there is no question of distress.
Mm.
Although the Supreme Lord is unattached to our happiness and distress according to karma, and although no one is his enemy or favorite, he creates pious and impious activities through the agency of his material potency. So it's all outsourced. It's really got nothing to do with
It's
this.
programs.
Yeah.
It's programs. In one sense, they're programs that are run by others, but it's kind of just like programs plugged into the matrix. You know, really, when it says pious and impious activities, it's just talking about the law of karma.
Yeah.
Right. He's programmed into the world that there are reactions according to how you act.
Makes sense. Were we?
Thus,
the continuation of materialistic
for the continuation.
For the continuation of materialistic way of life, he creates happiness and distress, the good fortune and bad, bondage and liberation, birth and death. O mother, you are now unnecessarily angry, but since all my happiness and distress are destined by my past activities, I do not plead to be excused or relieved from your curse.
That's what we call the bargaining stage of the grief, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. He's bypassing
Give
it.
me one more chance. I'll be good. Although what I have said is not wrong, please let whatever you think is wrong be pardoned.
He's apologizing still.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, continued, O King Parikshit, subduer of the enemy, after Chitraketu satisfied Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati,
Okay.
he boarded his plane and left as they looked on. When Lord Shiva and Parvati saw that Chitraketu, although informed of the curse, was unafraid, they smiled, being fully astonished by his behavior.
What a scene.
Shiva and Parvati are like, who is this guy?
Yeah, they expected you. I suppose when you curse someone or deal some justice, you want to see the person
On their knees.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to get what you deserve now, man.
No, it's coming.
Yeah.
No, but he was just like, I don't blame you. I don't blame me. I accept this fully. Pardon me. He was just entirely like he was as smooth as if she gave him a gift or something. Like he saw it as a gift.
Yeah. When you meet great devotees, you get shocked.
Yeah, you do.
Just when this young lady came on the show, I was like expecting her to say, "Stop your podcast, bye."
sometimes.
Instead, she was like, "Well, I find myself grounded in spiritual life, and that's the best thing I can be doing, and it's the best way I can lead and change this nation." I was like, "What?"
All right.
Yeah, you become shocked by the words that come out of a devotee's mouth.
You do.
It's not of this world. Text 26. Thereafter, in the presence of the great sage Narada, the demons, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, and his personal associates, Lord Shiva, who's most powerful, spoke to his wife Parvati while they all listened.
What does he say?
Lord Shiva said, my beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas?
That's the bhakti yogis, the devotees of Vishnu.
Being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, they are great souls and are not interested in any kind of material happiness.
Servants of the servants. Most people, they shudder at the thought of being a servant. Here they want to be the servant of the servant. Right? They see service in a whole different way.
Right. Materialistic people, they don't want to serve anybody.
Yeah.
Hey, can you do me some work?
No,
I don't want.
No,
I want you
do
to
it
wash my
yourself.
car. No.
Pay me.
Who do you think you are? Yeah. Pay me.
Yeah.
What are you paying? That's a common thing. Yeah. How much?
Sure.
I'll do it. How much?
So here they want to be the servant, not only the servant of the servant. They find joy and happiness, beauty, satisfaction, contentment in serving.
Mm.
They've understood the nature of the self, that we're designed that way, that it's a beautiful thing. And now comes a very famous verse. This shows the result. This shows how someone, when they're fixed in that attitude of service, and feeling a connection to God that's that when their consciousness is fixed or focused in that way. Like the Gita, we brought up the Gita earlier. There it says that for the Ashtanga yogi, when they reach that state of deep meditation, they feel a joy, like an unbounded joy within. That's so great that one, they feel like there's nothing greater to achieve in life, and two, that they can't be shaken under no matter what the external circumstances are. Now, Chitraketu isn't one of those Ashtanga yogis that's speaking about in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He's achieved the same state, but through bhakti yoga. It's his loving devotion to Vishnu that has him like, I'm always connected to Vishnu. I know this external energy of his is always shifting. So no matter how it shifts, I'm fine. Nothing can shake me, right? And I feel like there could be nothing better that I can gain in life. Shiva and Parvati witness that, and they're like, whoa.
Here's the verse, text 28. Devotees solely engaged in bhakti, devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, never fear any condition of life.
No fear.
Got anxiety? We can help you.
Formula right there.
We can help. Here's the formula, right?
For them.
For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord.
Nice. Have you know this verse? You've heard this before?
This is,
Narayana
Narayana
Parasarve.
Narayana Parasarve na kutaschana bibyate svarga apavarga narakeshva api tulyartha darshinaha.
Yeah. Api tulyartha darshana. Tulya means equal. And artha means value. Like they say, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Right? So api tulyartha darshana. Darshana means to see. They externally, whether something seems great or seems not so good, api tulyartha darshana, they see it equally. Because again, they understand that's the nature of this material world. It's always shifting. And they're connected in some way that's so much deeper. It's kind of like if you gain something so great that whatever's much less than that, the varieties in what's much less than that become insignificant to you because you have something so much greater. So once you have that deep spiritual connection, then the material ups and downs, you don't kind of, it's kind of like
You can take it.
Bad and good are kind of the same.
Yeah.
Bad and good are kind of the same. It's almost like sometimes we use these prison analogies, right? But like if you're free, if you're out of the prison, then good or bad within the prison is kind of, you just see it all the same.
Right.
It's just all
Oh,
prison.
you're gonna get two. You can get 2 books, or you can get
yeah. This guy gets extra jello and that guy doesn't. It's
That's a
like
good one.
but it's just like that. All of that is just prison to you.
Yeah.
If you're in the prison and it's all you know, that jello means a lot to you. If you're out of the prison, you're just like, that's all just prison.
Right.
I see it all the same.
Right.
And so this is saying that so Citraketu is put in the circumstance where on the external material level, he was flying high up in the higher planets and he just got shifted way down to the lower planets. But for him, even though he was high on the material level, it wasn't that material thing that was giving him his joy in life. It was his connection to the service of Narayan. And so when he lost it, it didn't make any difference. He sees it all equally. Maybe we can read the commentary here.
Parvati is the commentary of 28. Parvati might naturally have inquired how devotees become so exalted. Therefore, this verse explains that they are Narayana Para, simply dependent on Narayan. They do not mind reverses in life because in the service of Narayan, they have learned to tolerate whatever hardships there may be. Just a great way to look at life. They do not care whether they are in heaven or in hell. They simply engage in the service of the Lord. This is their excellence. Anakulyena Krishna Anushilanam. They are liberally engaged in the service of the Lord, and therefore they are excellent. By using the words Britya Brityanam,
servant of the servant, basically,
Lord Shiva pointed out that although Citraketu provided One example of tolerance and excellence, all the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord as eternal servants are glorious. They have no eagerness to be happy by being placed in the heavenly planets, becoming liberated, or becoming one with Brahman, the supreme effulgence. These benefits do not appeal to their minds. They are simply interested in giving direct service to the Lord.
Nice. You know, almost like an exercise that we could perform is just try to do this.
Do what?
Try to do what Chitraketu did. Like, wait attentively for the next time someone really does something to disturb you. And then just respond in a way that's just totally outside of what they expected it to be.
The opposite.
Yeah, just be like, oh, thank you for that. Okay. You know, just like,
You got a point there. I am a fool.
yeah, just do that kind of thing.
I am a jackass. Thank you very much.
Thank you for pointing that out.
What else? What else do you think I am?
Yeah. You know, someone honks the horn at you in the car and then you roll down your window.
You got a good point there.
I made a big mistake.
I was
And
out of
thank you
line.
for pointing that out.
No, I'm too spaced out lately. Road rage situation. It comes to your bangs on your window.
Yeah.
Bangs on your window. I really apologize. I'm all over the place. I'm having a rough one. Sorry if I
Thank you
If
for
it ble-
pointing out my
Sorry if it
shortcomings.
bleeded over into your. You want to hit me? Hit me. Just I deserve worse.
I deserve much worse. but you'll see if you can do something like that, you will feel yourself rising above, instantly rising above
Sure.
the negative states of mind that you would have otherwise been subject to.
You're going with their energy. You're you know, what is it? The Aikido or something. You know, they're going for the punch and you're moving with the punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're going with the insult. You
So
accept
you can
that
take him
insult.
down.
So you can actually take them down.
No, not so you can take him down.
No.
So that you don't go down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't want to go down there, or else you got. That's what road rage is.
All right. Should we keep going?
Yeah.
29.
Where we at? 29. Because of the actions of the Supreme Lord's external energy, the living entities are conditioned in contact with material bodies. The dualities of happiness and distress, birth and death, curses and favors are natural byproducts of this contact in the material world.
Oh, okay. Let's read this again. So we got 3 examples of dualities here, but start with the first sentence again.
Birth and death. So the whole
Yeah,
sentence?
because
of the actions of the Supreme Lord's external
and
energy,
material energy.
the living entities are conditioned in contact with material bodies.
Okay, because we're trapped in a material body, identifying with the material body, we become subject to these dualities.
Yeah. It's almost like you wear it's almost like if you put on a suit of clothing. If I was to put on a tuxedo right now and walk into the prasadam area where everyone's eating, I'd carry myself with a different sense of self. If I walked there in a policeman's outfit, I'd walk in, people would be looking at me. I'd be like walking a certain way. If I walked there in a gown, you know, be like, what the heck? And I'm feeling like, oh. So according to your outfit, you take on a mental state of mind. The outfit assists you to think of yourself like that. When we take birth in a particular body, that also affects the way our mind is thinking of ourselves. And so in this way, here we are. Because of the actions of the Supreme Lords, the living entities are conditioned in contact with their material body. Then the dualities of happiness and distress, birth and death, curses and favors are all natural byproducts of this contact in the material world.
Okay, so since he was beyond the bodily conception, he was beyond the dualities. And that was exemplified by his response to Parvati's curse. All right.
Yeah.
Text 30.
Text 30. As one mistakenly considers a flower garland to be a snake. You ever do that?
Not
a
flower
flower
garland.
No, like an old piece of hose or something.
Yeah, maybe something.
You and me must walk around the same areas where there's old hoses laying around. As one is mistakenly considers a flower garland to be a snake, or experience happiness and distress in a dream, done that.
Yeah.
So in the material world,
By lack of careful consideration, we differentiate between happiness and distress, considering one good and the other bad.
Okay.
This is so true. Suppose you want one particular president to win the election. Suppose you want one, and you think that, and everybody loves this particular president, and he wins, and everybody loves him. But this president might be weak in another way, where everyone might rejoice. Thank God this guy won, but it triggers some other nation. Now we're going to attack. This president's weak. He might be very sweet and loving, but we're going to attack. Whereas the president you don't want to win might be the one who intimidates more.
Yeah.
So you think you want it one way, but then the opposite thing can happen right away. You think that happiness is going to give you happiness. That happiness could give you the most distress.
Well, there's that story. Do you remember that story?
No, maybe.
Give
me a hint.
It had to do with like there's some
The
sadhu,
donkey?
and like
Is this when he says could be?
yeah,
Could be.
or we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I remember.
Let's
it
just
all.
make up the story.
Well, more or
because
less,
it's pretty similar. Like,
he-
hey, you had a baby.
He's kind of considered to. I don't know where
You
you're
had a
going
baby.
here.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Could be. Or something like that.
Well, the way that I remember it, it was like he was kind of like the town sadhu, like the local wise man, and people would come to him and ask questions about, like, serious questions about what they're going through in their life, and he would always give this kind of response that just didn't really seem to address the nature. They had a certain, they were attached to getting some kind of particular answer, right?
Right.
Like, tell me if this is good or bad, and it had to do with things. Oh, I know. I think it's told in different ways, but one of them was like the no, I don't remember any horse, but different things are going. There's two stories I'm thinking of. One of them had to do with like weird things are happening in the village.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to light fire, no one could light fire, and they went to him and said, "Dear wise man, it's like we're trying to light fire. What does this mean?" And it seems like it's such a bad thing. Well, maybe it's bad or maybe it's good.
Right. That's what.
It's
just maybe.
And so there's a series of things like that. And then what happened eventually, one was lighting fire. I think one, like all the chickens died or something like that. It was like weird things, right? And they kept saying, what kind of omen is this? Is it bad or is it good? It could be either bad or good, and they were kind of disappointed and frustrated with him. And, but eventually what happened was they were assuming these were all bad omens. And what happened was at night, these different invaders came and they were taking over every village. But when they came to their village, they didn't hear any chickens, or roosters crowing. They didn't see any lights at
So they
night
went
because there's
by
no
them.
fire. So they just avoided them. And it turned out to be good. Right.
Right.
And so I suppose it's just trying to illustrate the idea that we kind of want to interpret external circumstances, whether it's a presidential election, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't at all be concerned with those things, but we have our own narrow kind of way of analyzing these things.
Puny
Good
idea.
or good
To
or
think
bad.
what will be the ultimate good?
Yeah, and sometimes what appears bad is good, and sometimes what appears good is bad. But when you know already that this world is just constantly going through bad, good, it's constantly waves up and down, then it's not that you have to entirely abandon trying to operate as a force of good within this world, but you have an ability to transcend it even as you're living and working through it. And so that's what the Bhagavatam's always given us, and that's what Chitraketu just kind of demonstrated. All right, I think we're out of time, huh?
Yeah, that went fast.
That's what happens.
Miss Mara.
Mara, do we have takeaways, Mara?
Mara, give us a takeaway. Oh, Yarny Knitter.
Knitter of yarn.
I sort of feel like we should get the Nandini over here. She
Nandini, would you like to-
might be wiser than me with the takeaways. No?
You got some notes?
Oh,
Okay,
no.
okay. Fair, fair.
Put up by a 15-year-old. First. All right. Let's see. You can choose your destiny by who you hang out with.
Yes.
This book.
Yep.
What can you do when truth comes in an uncool package?
You got to accept it anyway.
Accept it anyway. Wisdom of the sages is the real social work of the world.
That was Nandini.
All right.
Nandini Rada right there.
Don't worry about world wars and corruption. Acharyas are being born.
Acharyas are being born.
Expect your world to get turned upside down.
Okay.
Take radical responsibility. I got what I got. Now what?
Mhm.
Stop blaming to find peace. Be fixed only in the service to God. When you're out of the prison, you don't care about the extra jello.
That's right.
Tolerate hardship in the service of Narayana.
Mm-hmm.
Rise above negativity and respond like Citraketu.
And no and?
Wait,
And
watch it again.
you got even one?
Wait.
Hey.
And check out the For Us podcast.
Oh, there you go.
First.
For Us podcast. Wherever good podcasts can be found.
Yeah, she's on Spotify.
On Spotify.
Yep.
Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts. Excellent.
The For Us podcast with Nandini Vanodia. There we go.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks everybody live being here.
You know thank you. You know my friend Sarvabhauma there in Houston? Sarvabhauma Prabhu?
Yeah, that's where you sit. Yes. Yes, Father. The Acharya has spoken. You listen to her now. You listen. Everything's flipped.
Yeah, before you got here, you don't know, we just announced that your daughter's a Acharya. So something you're going to have to deal with now.
Deal with now, and she wants to stay out late.
She wants a part two.
Thanks everybody for joining us. It's been a beautiful time coming back to the Govardhan Eco Village.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this month. We'll do a lot of meet the people.
Yeah, we got
What did we call it last year?
I don't know.
Meet the sages.
Can't really
Pilgrim.
see how beautiful. Look at this room. I mean,
I know. It's good. It's good.
Govardhan Eco Village.
For Us podcast. Okay, but now we got all the devotees listening. You got to drop a little bit of more.
Is it like four, like the number for us? Or just for us? F-O-R.
F-O-R.
F-O-R us. I'm going to check it out. Do you know the people from the Modern Yogi podcast? Have you ever seen that one before?
Modern Yogi podcast.
Worth checking out.
You do know them. Don't you tell the Acharya what she knows and doesn't know. Thanks to everybody joining us.
Things are going to change around the Vanodia household now.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah, that's Corona.